All right. In this one, we're going to talk about how easements work in eminent domain. Real property rights explained. Still your land, but they get access. Understanding pipeline easements. All right, we're going to go through a pipeline easement. So here, in this one, it is filed in the Northern District of Ohio, in the district court, and here is the plaintiff, the pipeline company, and the defendant is a landowner, and they named the landowner. Plus, what they're looking for is to construct, operate, and maintain a pipeline across the landowner's property. So here's the complaint. Pursuant to the Natural Gas Act. If you didn't know the Natural Gas Act, you can read it here. 15 U.S.C. starting at 717. And then the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 71.1. The gas company files this complaint. And why do they file this complaint? To condemn the property interest necessary for what? Construction, operation, and maintenance of the pipeline over property owned by the landowner. And they are saying that this condemnation is necessary because the gas company has not been able to negotiate with the landowner on a mutually agreeable terms for an easement permitting the installation, operation, and maintenance of a pipeline. I wonder why the landowner did not want to negotiate. All right, let's just look at a couple other things. It says Columbia is a Delaware limited liability company. Yeah, a lot of the large companies tend to incorporate in Delaware, but I used to be a fan of Delaware, but the problem is, for a small business, Delaware tend to charge a lot of money for the annual filing fee. I mean, if you want to file the articles of organization for an LLC, they charge reasonable, but the annual fee is kind of ridiculous in Delaware. I think it used to be a lot less, but I think they have hiked it up. But companies like large companies are paying for it anyway. So, I do like Wyoming. Wyoming, they did increase their price recently though, but it's not as high as Delaware, and it is both Delaware and Wyoming has a pretty good charging order protection, and Wyoming seems to be good for single-member LLCs. I do like some of the other states, so that doesn't charge annual fees, like New Mexico and Missouri, that doesn't charge any annual fee once you file the articles of organization. But I don't think they have as much much protection as Wyoming. But anyway, I digress talking about Delaware and the different states for forming an LLC. It says Columbia is an interstate natural gas company. Okay. And then the jurisdiction and venue, they're saying that the property condemned, the amount claimed by the owner for the property to be condemned exceeds $3,000. And then, like mentioned previously, they're unable to negotiate with the landowner for mutually agreeable terms for the new easement. Okay. And then, why are they allowed to do this? It's because they have something called a blanket certificate. According to 18 CFR 157201A, a blanket certificate authorizes the holder to conduct certain activities, including construction, operation, and abandonment of pipeline and related facilities. Companies in possession of blanket certificate can condemn under the issued blanket certificate. So what is the easement to be taken? The easement to be taken includes a temporary construction easement totaling 0.67 acres and a permanent right-of-way totaling 0.28 acres for construction for the pipeline. And then they talk about the pipeline. It should be buried as not to interfere with the cultivation of the land. How much cultivation of land can happen after the easement. We're going to read through some restrictions. It says that the landowner may fully use and enjoy the premise to the extent that such use and enjoyment does not interfere with the gas line company's rights described in this complaint. Well, we're going to see how much enjoyment the landowner can really have. So it says that unless the landowner obtains prior written consent, so you need written consent of the gas company, the landowner shall not, all right, they shall not place or permit to be placed any temporary or permanent structure for the obstruction of any kind, including but not limited to, shall not place any buildings, shall not place any swimming pools, no sheds, no concrete pads, no sidewalks. You cannot have a mobile home. You cannot plant trees. No telephone poles or wires, no electric poles or wires, no water or sewer lines, no meters or utility boxes, no paved roads or passageways or over the permanent right-of-way of any installed pipeline. It is a pretty useless property. I mean, when I read this, you may not store any materials of any kind or operate or allow to operate any heavy machinery equipment over the right-of-way area. No permit right-of-way area to be covered by standing water. So, except in the course of normal season irrigation. The issue with I see that with that is that the ownership still resides with the landowner. The landowner is not selling his property to the gas company. What they want is an easement. And they don't want the ownership of that land. They just want the easement. So now the landowner is supposed to make sure there's no standing water for a useless property. Okay, well, the thing is, in my experience, or generally what I've seen, and in these types of experience of looking at these court cases, is that these companies tend to win a lot of the times. The landowner doesn't have the money to fight them, and the law is designed in a way for the benefit of these companies, and I think a lot of times they end up winning, but it's just a matter of how much compensation they're willing to give you. So sometimes when you put up a fight, they might be willing to give you a little more than what they had offered, but at the end of the day, it does look like they are going to win, most of the time. Well, if you like this, subscribe, and comment below, and thank you for listening, and hopefully we have another episode talking about easements, eminent domains, and everything else real estate related. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.